Hi, fifth graders. This little helper video is going to show us how to solve for that unknown variable. Once again, we're using emojis again, which is kind of a fun way to find those variables. And a variable is just an unknown number. So we're trying to figure out what number should replace that image. And so now we're going to look at a few more complex equations, ones that require more than one step. So we're just going to walk through two quick examples for you if you're having troubles. So I look at this first equation and I notice a few things, that I have 24 divided by, and then I have those parentheses. The hammer here, emoji, is my variable, plus 1 equals 4. And if you remember what algebra is we have to make things equal. It's like a giant seesaw. I'm going to draw a little seesaw here. We need to make both sides of this, or both sides of the equal sign, equal the same amount. So we have to make this side, we know that this side is 4 because we're not adding anything else onto it. So we got to make this bigger side, we have to make that equal 4 in some way. With our orders of operations, we know that we have to do the parentheses first. But I have to kind of think ahead because I see that unknown variable, that hammer, in there. So I'm trying to figure out, I have 24 divided by something is going to equal 4. Well, if I know my multiplication really, really well and my division really, really well, 24 divided by 6 is going to equal 4. So I have to make the inside of this parentheses 6. All right, so how do I do that? Well, it's a pretty easy one. It's just a plus 1. So what number plus 1 will get us 6? Well, that's pretty easy. It's going to be 5. So that tells us that if we replace the hammer with the number 5, our equation should work. Let me change colors here. I'm going to put a little number 5 up there. Let's just test it. 5 plus 1 is 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. We got it. So our unknown variable for this one, our hammer, equals 5. So we could say that as hammer equals 5. Let's look at one more example. My unknown variable, this time we're using a beautiful little castle symbol as our emoji, trying to figure out what number would replace that castle. You see another change here. Now we have the equal sign at the beginning. It says 36 equals. It doesn't really matter which side the equal side is on, so don't get thrown off by that. We still have to make both sides of it the same amount. This one's a lot more complex. I see some parentheses. I also see that the 8 and the castle are right next to each other. There's no operation in there. I don't see an addition symbol or a minus symbol or a division symbol. So if you think back to what it was said earlier in the lesson video, if we have a number and a symbol, a variable, right next to each other, that's going to be like adding a multiplication sign in there. They just don't put that little x in there because x is something that is used as a variable all the time. So they just have decided that if you see a number and a castle or a emoji or a letter or whatever variable you want to use, you're just multiplying them together. So we've got to make this side equal 36. Well, I know in my order of operation that parentheses, you do that first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right away because it's my first step. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I know that inside of that is going to be 4. So I've got to figure out 4 plus what is going to get me 36. Well, if I take 36 minus 4, I get 32. I need to get 32 out of this 8 times something so that I can add it on to 4 and I can get 36. Well, if I know my multiplication, 8 times what is going to get me 32? Well, I know that 8 times 4 is 32. If I take 8 times 4, that equals 32 plus the 4 gets me 36. So my castle equals 4. Wonderful. That's pretty bad 4 there. Let me write it again just to kind of cross that one out. So it's all about just looking at the puzzle pieces and filling in what number is going to go with that symbol. All right, I hope that helps as you try to tackle these next 4 multi-step variable problems.